We're bringing up the afternoon. I always like this part of the day because people are tired and some people have left because they're like, yeah, I'm going to go take a nap. But this is the diehards. Like, these are the people that are like, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to meet people. And I love, love, love that. So thank you for being here. This picture cracks me up. I love that double chin. It's great. Before that would have been a lot harder for me, but after the last few years, I'm like, it's not even a big deal. Show my double chin. I don't care. The last few years have been both blessed and challenging. Anybody else with me on that? And so it is interesting how you realize, like, don't sweat the teeny tiny dumb stuff. Like, focus your energy on what matters, what's important. So as I was getting ready for this year, my son, Trey, who's now 14, he was like, Mom, I really want to be in your comedy show. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he is very funny, but he's not always appropriate. My son has autism and sensory processing disorder and, I don't know, ADD symptoms, ODD symptoms, all of that. He's a little like his father. I don't know what to say about it. Anyway. He is brilliant, but like the filter is, we're working on it. We've worked every year. And so Trey was really pushing me. And intuitively, how many intuitive people in here? Like when you know your gut's like, too soon. So I'm thinking maybe we debut Trey Gartman next year, Trey G. But he really wanted to be a part of this year. And I've never had him do that before. I've never had him like lean into what I do. Usually the minute I start to say anything, he's like, Mom, I know the speech. And I'm like, this is a new speech. You've never heard this speech before, I swear. And at school, when they say, what does your mom or dad do for a living? He's like, well, my mom talks. She has coffee and she talks. His classmates are like, best job ever. She gets paid for that? It's great. I'm like, Trey, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's okay. So I decided he wanted to contribute. And I thought it was so cool, so I had a totally different direction I was going to go today. But I said, okay, what if you help me with my talk? He's brilliant, he's funny, and I'll tell you what, this kid, he studies animals and reptiles and organisms. So he probably would have really enjoyed this STEM panel because his head understands all of that. And those people that have like the matrix just going on in their universe. And he can just learn about all these animals and remember all these crazy things. And he was like, well, okay, how about, Mom, if I help you with your talk? Because you love animals, I love animals. He goes, you're funny, I'm funny. I know some really weird, funny animals that I bet some of your friends don't know about. Because he thinks all of you are my friends, by the way. Like, all I do is go talk to my friends. So you're my friends now, is that okay? So really quickly, what's that? Oh, I love you. I love you. I am a people addict. It's true. Just, man, COVID was like, hard. I bought so many blingy shoes during COVID. I can admit it was a problem. And Dillard's had them like 70% off because there was no events. And I was like, I don't have people. I need blingy shoes. It was crazy. Like I did this on my phone. I don't know what that is. So I said, okay, Trey, I want you to give me a few of these crazy kind of animals that you think not all of us know about. So I'm going to pop through these pretty quickly. But this is interesting. The first one is like one of the craziest little creatures maybe that you've ever seen. I don't know. What is it? It's a water bear. I didn't know what that was. It's a moss piglet. It's a water bear. How big are they? Who knows? They're tiny. Yes. I have a scientist in the house. Yeah. Microscopic. They're teeny, teeny, tiny, but look at them. Aren't they fierce? I love sci-fi movies and stuff. I'm like, are you sure this isn't a character from like a sci-fi movie? Look at this guy and that face. Is that what that is? I don't know. And this, hey, Valiant, I'm having eye issues up here. Like my clock is big, but my words are really tiny. Is there any way you can make that bigger? It's like talking to the Wizard of Oz. You're like, hey, You behind the curtain. All right. I'm going to iterate and adapt. If we've learned anything, that's what we do. So stand by. Oh, they're making it bigger for me. I'm so excited. See, all you have to do is ask for help, everybody. All right. Tiny animals, and it's actually an animal discovered in 1773. They are very resilient, very resilient. They can withstand extreme pressure, cold, heat, radiation, starvation, and dehydration. They actually went out into space and lived. It's pretty amazing. So the moss piglet, the water bear, somebody was like, yeah, we should go to the water bear bar tonight after WICON and celebrate. I'm like, there's a water bear bar? I didn't even know about this animal. There's over 1,300 species. Scientists have never found a disease or illness carried by the water bear. So let's be like the water bear. Let's not carry or, like Megan was talking about with the luggage, let's not project onto other people our stuff. And sometimes we don't know when we're doing that. So that's when have good friends who compassionately tell you the truth, right? Not like, dude, what's up with you? Not like that. It's not safe. Safe is, hey, I love you. I'm worried about you. How's it going? I'm just sensing something, have people that hold space with us so that we don't take our dis-ease and put it onto other people. Handle your stuff so that you can not only live your best life, but you can be, all of us want to be catalysts in other people's lives too. Am I right? We don't just want to be awesome. I mean, we do want to be awesome. We also, we do it so that we can be great community members. We can make our mark on the world. One thing that really unites us, we all want to make a difference. If you're healthy, you want to make a difference. That's the truth. So I love that. Be like the moss piglet water bear. Do you guys know what this is? The candy pistol shrimp. A pistol shrimp. Have you heard of these little critters? They're also not very big. A few inches long, their large claws can grow to half of their body length. They don't play with those claws. They're like half the body length claw. These are their superpower. They can blast bubbles from their little claws at 62 miles an hour. And when those bubbles come out, they are 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? I know, some of you are thinking that would be a handy superpower to have, huh? We'd be dangerous. But it's cool, they can actually stunt their, if it's like a defense mechanism thing, they're like, boo, 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 boo. I'm sure it makes that now noise too. Do I make a lot of noises? I'm just realizing how many noises I make, and I don't think they sound anything like the real thing. Boo, 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 boo. Anyway. They are small but mighty. How many of you feel like you may be small but mighty? Yeah. Here's what I like about these guys. Okay, this is a cute one. So here's Trey. The pistol shrimp, and I went on and I'm like, what's the cutest pistol shrimp ever? And I got the candy one. He's really colorful, but there's a bunch of different varieties. But they are amicable to most creatures unless they are in danger. And then their hot little mini sonic booms come out. So how many divers in the room? Anybody divers? No. Not a room of divers. Okay, well, apparently, me either. I found my people. Apparently, when you go underwater, you can hear them. Like when you're in, an area where they're at, you can hear these little because they're like mini sonic booms. They're super loud. I love it. They are small but powerful, and they are amicable unless they need to hey, I'm going to defend myself. Boy, I've learned this. There is a balance. We tend to swing the pendulum. We go from, I'm just going to hold space, and I know they're kind of beating me up and being mean and maybe stalking and maybe doing crazy. Maybe they're hurting me physically, emotionally, spiritually. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it's a big deal. It's going on all around us, and Idaho has an amazing slew of resources for that. There's a time when you need to take a stand for your life and your safety and your wellness, and nobody else should be allowed to make you feel sick. And whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. So yes, be a good person. Yes, help. And yes, when somebody else is in need, at a greater need than you, understand that. But boy, be careful, because there's a slight edge. And then we go into the dark side of servant leadership or helping or even sometimes parenting or just being a good friend? Where is that line where, we are taking too much of that and we need to defend ourselves, our family, our businesses? Sometimes you've got to rise up and have a voice, and I like to call it compassionate disruption. I'm not going to go I don't know, knock windows out of your car if I'm mad, but I will rise up and I will speak my truth. And I will take care of myself and my family, and I've had to do that in the last year. So and I hope I look like him. I mean, he's pretty cute. But I want to be amicable as much as I can. But I have boundaries for myself, my health, and my family, and I'm not going to apologize for that. So be like that. Have your boundaries. How many of you know what this one is? Do you know what kind of jellyfish? I know it's so pretty, right? Also, I tend to go to the most colorful pictures I could find. This is an immortal jellyfish. Immortal, did you hear that? The audible sigh of the audience. It's a thing. And literally, and he'll tell you this, sometimes when he talks to me about stuff, I'm like, that's not a thing. He's like, Mom, it's a thing. In fact, every time I talk about dragons, even though they're not a real thing, he'll be like, Mom, that's not a dragon, that's a griffin, and here's why. And that's a hexacodal. And there's all these dragon names, and they don't even really exist. Anyway, I digress. The immortal jellyfish, I was like, that's not a thing. He's like, oh, yes, it is, and they can live forever. I'm like, shut up. How do they do that? Well, they can live forever unless they're eaten by their prey. And it happens. It happens. It's a bad day. Okay, here's a big word for all my STEM people, transdifferentiation. Transdifferentiation. That was me. I was like, I need to go back to the last slide. They're like, you're doing the slides, girl. When they are physically damaged, the immortal jellyfish transform back into a polyp, so into a real primary state, which buds and produces cells identical to the adult. So basically regenerates. So if you've heard about the phoenix rising, which is a mythological thing, this is actually a real thing. So they could potentially, some of them, live forever, unless they're eaten, which is just really a bummer. But I just love that because it's sometimes we need to pull back. Sometimes we need to rest or calibrate or educate ourselves or just assimilate, get the therapy, do the things, and then we can come back rejuvenated, revived, and have something to not only bring ourselves but to bring others. So we may not be able to be immortal, don't get eaten, but do regenerate and rejuvenate when you know that you need to do that. So this is my final. I was doing it wrong anyway because I'm looking at what I'm looking at. See, this is why I don't do slides very often, but I told Trey that I would. Be resilient. You can withstand far more than you know, and as much as possible, carry no dis-ease or harm to anyone else. And when you notice you're doing it, because we're human and it happens, get support, get help, get healthy, do the things. Be dynamic and be kind and amicable as often as possible. And sometimes we must raise our volume, our voice, and our boundaries and speak our truth and make sure that we are safe. So reach out if you need help with that. Be regenerative. Practice that word. You guys say it. Good job. Lots of big words today. Pull back, rejuvenate, renew. All right. That's the last I'm going to do with the PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, just turn that off. Okay, now I can tell Trey, I used your stuff. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Trey. So when he was a toddler, we would just constantly get called, he wasn't in school yet, but it was church, if there was something like that. We noticed he had a really hard time. It was it wasn't just separation anxiety. This kid had a temper, and he just struggled, the minute he could kind of walk and talk. And so at one point, we had a really great person that was in the church nursery out in Nampa, the church we were going to at the time, say, he has sensory processing disorder or challenges. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Well, for Trey, he's sensory seeking, so he likes all the things, light, sound, touch, everything. But it's on steroids to them all the time. It's on Technicolor. So imagine, you ever go into the concert and it's like, whoa, super loud. But for them, they're feeling those kind of things at that level all the time. Very, very heightened. And of course, when you're a toddler, they don't know what's going on for them. I remember when he was 3, he said to me, "Mommy, I have spidey senses." And I was like, "Oh, you go. Mommy has like Batman senses." And he's like, "No, Mommy." It was like, "Mom, you're not getting it. Listen to me." He's like, he wasn't teasing. He was like, "I have spidey senses." And I was like, huh. And that started me really thinking, wow, what is this world that he lives in? Well, fast forward to school, that was hard. Our school systems are definitely overloaded. Huge shout out to teachers. We should double what they're getting paid. We should give them the massages, the dinners, and all the things. God bless them. Glad I'm not one of them. It's such a tough thing. But the school system doesn't, and it depends on the school and the area. Always it depends. But the school system struggled with Trey. And Trey struggled with the school system. And so I would be getting these phone calls. And, fast forward to, by the time he was 7, I think I'd had 5 different police officers come to my door about Trey. I know everybody's like, whoa, bad mom alert. What is happening in that house? And it's difficult because sometimes that is our go-to, right? It's like, well, what's going on at home? Must be, shenanigans. And it's like, we don't understand some of these challenges that people have that are also their genius in a lot of ways and to be celebrated, but they make it challenging on the other end of it, and we struggle with that. Like, if it's not like us, I didn't grow up in a home where we had any of that. I had a family member that struggled with some depression and anxiety, but this was very different for me. And I remember all the times that I would hold him, for like 2 or 3 hours while he would calm down when he was younger. We don't have to do that anymore, but like 2 or 3 hours and he's trying to kick and hit and bite. And a parent brain, how we do guilt anyway? Those of you that are parents, or if you just have family, we all have family. It's like you do this guilt, like, what could I be doing better? What am I missing? And then those conversations with God, like, why did you give this one to me? I clearly am failing, and I don't know what I'm doing. And you just feel so small. I felt so small. You think about one of my favorite quotes is Mother Teresa. No, sorry, her two, other ones. Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them. You guys are on cue. It's great. For a sensory processing kid with autism, they are all feels. They're all feels. It's like just massive nerve endings throughout their whole body. But it's so hard because I understand where the school system and everybody else was coming from too. So if you come tomorrow night, I'll do a little bit of comedy where I include some of Trey's shenanigans. But he has been my greatest teacher so far. Those moments where I'm like, wow, what do I need to do to crack the code and help? And part of it's just like, you know what? We've all got a deck of cards. We do, I do, you do. And some of those cards we like, and some of those cards are hard. They're hard. But you've been given this because you can do it. It'd be hard for somebody else too, turns out. Like, you were the one. You were the one designated with this. And, I love the Simon Sinek, find out your why, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Sometimes I don't know why. Sometimes the why is elusive. And so if I wait around to find my why, I might be just staying in bed Netflixing for the next few years. So sometimes I have to get in alignment with what? What am I being called to do? I may not know why yet. And I'm not saying that Trey has these challenges to teach me, but I am saying that he has taught me with those challenges. And I've taught him too. It's been a really amazing thing. When we used to drive to school, I found out that music was the universal language for Trey. And I think it is for a lot of humans, the universal language. And we would drive to school and I would sing a song every day about how it was going to be we're going to have a great day, a great day, a great day. We're going to have a great day at school today. And I had many verses, Trey and their friends are going to laugh and play, like all these things, right? And in my mind, I'm like, please, for the love, have it be true. Please, please, please. Like, just like baking it into his subconscious, you know? And I would see progress, but it's in those certain moments, even though we're making progress, like, we can come back to that place where we're like, am I enough here? Am I doing enough? Am I supposed to not be working? Then how do I, I am not a homeschool mom. I know some people, I know. But it's just not my calling. It's not. Believe me, Trey would run away from home if I homeschooled him. I want a good relationship with Trey. So he has taught me so much. And, I think about, what is it for you? What is it for you that you're like, this is this challenge, this dragon in my life, and it might be yourself. It might be a situation that you're in that you feel like you don't have a lot of control. It might be a mindset. What is it for you? And, if you're willing, I'm gonna grab a mic and just come out in the audience, because it's really hard for me. That mic's not there. I'm gonna go get this mic over here. And I'm gonna come out in the audience and just talk to you guys for a minute, because this is a beautiful stage, but man, I really can't see you guys. Wait, I'm gonna get my glasses. That's when I need them. Oh, and then my retina broke this year in my right eyeball. I woke up one morning and my retina was broken, and people have asked me, well, how did that happen? And I'm like, man, I should come up with a sexy story for that. Like I was surfing, and I'm like, yeah, I woke up that way. I don't know what happened. Apparently it was shredded a little bit. So anyway, now I'm really like, glasses on, glasses off. I don't know. I really can't ever see that well. So I want to ask you, what are you working on? And if you're willing and if you choose, but absolutely like zero pressure. Some people are like, do not walk up to me and hand me that mic. I won't do that. I won't do it. Won't keep you safe. But who might be willing to stand up and say, yeah, this is something that I want to work on, and I'm bumping up against a wall with it. Or I could use some support with it. Is there anybody that would want to stand up and kind of, okay, we're going to work right here? She knows. She's like, that's me.
That's me.
So tell everybody your name.
My name is Burma. My relationship with food and exercise. Mm-hmm. I need to reframe the word exercise. So movement, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my challenge.
So how long has that been a challenge?
43 years.
Okay. When somebody thinks really hard and long, it's like, oh, okay, that's been a while. All right. Hasn't been since COVID.
Nope. Nope.
And so this is like your whole life. You didn't really get into exercise growing up or any of that.
Sports when I was younger, but
okay.
Yeah.
So you did do sports.
Yeah.
Then why are you telling me no?
Well, it doesn't mean there wasn't work on the relationship, but I did do
Yeah.
sports. Yeah.
On the relationship.
It's a relationship.
Wow. You talk about it like it's this other kind of entity kind of being.
It is.
So it's big for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's the dragon.
Yeah.
It's like, dang it. Okay, so what have you done so far where you're kind of like, I want to work?
I didn't know I was going to need to answer these questions.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledging. So
Yeah.
what does that mean to you?
Standing in front of a room and talking about my relationship
Yeah.
with food and exercise. Yeah. Yeah, and there's not shame. It's just, it just is.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you actually know things you need to do to kind of move into a different place? Or are you like, I want some different things?
Yeah, I do. I know what I need to do. It's just to make, reframing my relationship with food and realizing that the body is my machine and to take care of that. I need to learn to enjoy cooking rather than it just being keeping my family alive. Yeah, I need to find enjoyment in it.
So you have a very left brain conversation going on.
Sure.
So I love that you're letting us kind of use this as an example, because this is wildly common with people. When no matter what the challenge is that a lot of times we'll tell ourselves, well, this is what I need to do. What I need to do is start saving thousands of dollars every month, and I need to exercise an hour a day, and I need to, order all the food from Joni's website. And so it's a very, we're smart, and we're logical. Like a lot of times we know what we need to do, but I'm going to submit to you, and we can't do all of this today, but I'm going to submit to you, sometimes that's not the problem. You're smart. You know, and I know too in some of my stuff, what we need to do. The challenge is deeper, right? So you're very smart, and you're like, I'm gonna get this under control. But it's like we can say that. It reminds me of, I did a ropes course. Anybody do a ropes course, like deep dive personal growth? And I realized that day I'm terrified of heights, actually. And so I get up to the top of this like 50-foot pole, and the pole's kind of going, there's my noises again. Like it's deep in the ground, it's not going to fall, but my head knew that. But my body was like, oh, heck no, like, we're going to die, right? And so I remember I had one foot at the top of the pole and then my other foot at the top rung, because I was fine as long as I had something to hang on to. That's why I like my friends. I got to have something to hang on to. So I had one foot on the top of the pole, one foot on the rung, and the facilitator's down there. He's like, okay, go, stand up on top of that pole. And I'm like, okay. I mean, my body was like, it was not. Have you ever been there? Your brain knows what to do, and your body's like, good luck, sweetie. That's adorable. I'm not doing that, right? Literally, he stood down there screaming at me, and my head was, and every time I can remember what I sounded like, and this was like, this is a long time ago, over 20 years ago. I was like, yep, okay, I got it. I'm gonna do it right now. And I was trying to like will every cell in my body to do the thing that I knew. I needed 30 people down here staring at me. This is not the kind of attention that I want at all, ever. And it was funny because he finally had to like yell at me, and it's called a pattern interrupt, right? Now I know that. I didn't know that then, but he was like, I'm going to count to 3, and you're either going to sit down on that pole or you're going to stand up. 1. And my body went, and so then I was like, oh, hey, are you available later? I have a lot of goals I'd like to, have you work with me on. Like, was it that easy all along? And so what he did, though, is he triggered something in me emotionally. He got me out of here, and he got me at this visceral level where it's like, you are going to stand. You can, and you've just got to get over this fear. You're not going to be fearless, but you can move through the fear and do the thing when it's the right thing to do. That's what you can do. Don't tell people to be fearless, for the love. We can't do. There's nobody fearless, right? But we can get through the thing. So with your thing, I'm curious, what is the emotion behind it? When did it start being like you noticed that you were like, oh, my relationship with food is, oh, what's your earliest like recollection of that?
I've never enjoyed cooking. I've never enjoyed, it was just, I don't know my earliest recollection, but I think when I reframed it to a relationship, then it wasn't who I am. It's just this thing out here that I can fix. If that makes sense. So I had to disassociate from it. So I'm great at like a cleanse and really extreme. So
Of course, yeah, we've seen the pendulum, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, I reframed it. Now it's over here, and I'm gonna hand it.
I'm not real great at doing things that I don't want to do. So when I find a way to like both of these, then it will be changed forever.
Yeah.
I'm just not
So
there
what
yet.
if that doesn't happen? What if you never? So I find it really interesting that you associate eating healthy food with having to cook it yourself. I find that really interesting. So where do you get that? Was your mom just a great cook, or your dad who was a great cook, and why does that make you a good human if you like cooking?
Well, it doesn't make me a great human. It just, I think,
That's what
changes
I
your relationship.
hear.
Well, just like cooking is a love language for people. So I think cooking is deeper than that.
If you're into that, if that's
Yeah.
your love language.
So both of
What if it's not?
both of the moms in my life were the cookers.
Yeah. So sometimes subconsciously, right? And we're like, but I don't really know. I know, because it's subconscious. we don't really know that stuff. Like the unconscious bias. Well, I don't discriminate. That's why it's the unconscious bias, right? So sometimes that is playing and draining your battery. It's draining your battery. So your brain's like me at the top of the pole. Yep, got it, going. But it was like it needed something different, right? It needed something different. And like, I love you, your body language. She's like, yeah, I got this. It's like, for me, there's an emotional disconnect. I'm like, there is a belief system in there, is kind of what I'm hearing. And even with what you don't say, it's like there's this belief system attached to, that's going to shift it for me. I need to be more like them. And so for me, I'm just going to challenge you to think about and be with, is there a different possibility or possibilities, right? Where you're like, I don't ever have to love cooking. Good freaking news. That's good news. How old are you?
43.
43. You've been working on this a long time, because every time I ask you when this started, you're like, So Gallup Strengths Finders, I talked about that tool, 40 years of research. You know, he's called the father of strength psychology. It's actually considered a psychology now. And he's like, what if we focused on the things that we're awesome at instead of the things we're like, it doesn't give me joy. Yeah. It doesn't, because here's the thing. There's motivation and inspiration. So a lot of times we do things because we're motivated. We're like, oh, I have to go to school or I'm going to get in trouble, right? I better go to work or I might be fired. I need that paycheck, cost of living, right? So we're motivated. But what's the inspiration? Inspiration comes from within. It's the thing that says, this is what lights me up. What's your favorite food that's healthy?
Fruit.
Fruit.
All fruit.
Great. Good news, you don't even have to cut that stuff up. You don't have to do anything with it. You can eat it and put it in your mouth. What? I love clothes. But like Winnie, where's Winnie? She makes clothes, and she's got, where's your seamstresses that are, raise your hand if you're a seamstress. Right? Amazing. This is great. I'm never going to sew. It's fantastic, but I'm going to keep wearing clothes because I like them. But I'm really good at other stuff. Ask me what I'm good at. I want you to win.
Thanks.
43 years. I want you to win.
Eating healthy just needs to be easy, and then I'll do it.
Right?
That's it.
If it was easy, right?
Everybody would do it.
Yeah, I ordered this shirt online. It was easy. If I would have had to have made this shirt, right? So it is probably even deeper than that, but I'll leave it for you to kind of think about. And she's like, oh, great, I'm going to be thinking all night. But I just think these are some beautiful people that are in your life, but you're not them. Mm-hmm. And you're also magical at stuff that they're not magical at, aren't you?
I am.
Like what? Like what?
Business.
Business? What kind of business?
Any business I want to do.
Any business you want to do? Well, what are you doing right now?
I'm a realtor.
Realtor? Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Why should people buy a house right now? If they can.
Yeah, there's an amazing, abundant amount of selection right now that we haven't seen in years.
All of a sudden we have selection. What? And better deals right now. What? Yeah, crazy. And you know about that. And if I want to go looking for a house, you know how to galvanize me in that way. Mm-hmm. This is good news. Do you want to focus on the stuff that you're maybe never going to crack the code on? Or do you want to be the amazingness of who you are? Mm-hmm. You're awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks for playing with us. We'll pass it. Stand up. Yes, ma'am. Yes. That's right. Give her some support. That's right. So, what are you working on? What do you want? What's in the way? Put that microphone right here, baby. You got to think about it for a minute? Okay. We can wait.
Oh, okay. We call self-discipline.
Yeah.
That's
In what area?
like honestly in my everyday living, because it's like I guess I can show up for other people, but I can't necessarily show up for myself. And if I am more self-disciplined, I will be more successful in my education, in my job, in my nonprofit, and things that and I've realized that before I used to, I guess, wing it, but now it's affecting me deeply because I've recently started a nonprofit. So I was like, if I'm not self-disciplined, I'm not the only one suffering. I'm also letting those people that I just started a nonprofit for suffer too with me. So, and to help with that, I have actually created a schedule from in the morning to when I go to bed, and I have started working with that. And I don't always hit all the points like I started a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like happy when I can get at least 10 things off the list, and then start again the next morning and see, if I can get
Yes, ma'am.
all of that list.
Now, I'm going to take you back in time. Yeah, we can give her a round of applause for that. And I want to take you back to something that you said, and I hear this a lot in coaching. And we say things we don't know that we say. So I call it the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. Now, sometimes we might tell stories about ourselves that are true, like I really probably wouldn't make a good CPA. That's true. And then we have the other stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and a part of it's a little bit of a shaming exercise. We're our own biggest critics, aren't we? Gosh, I don't even need somebody to come be critical. I mean, it's okay if you want to, but it's like, I already got it done in spades. But you said something really pivotal. You said, I can show up for other people, but I can't show up for me. So, reframe. Here's the reframe. Now, I know there's some people that like to say, well, name it and claim it. Just say, I'm great and I'm disciplined all the time and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that might also be a story that you tell yourself, because if it's not true, I don't really like lying. So that didn't really fit for me when I get into personal growth. I was like, okay, what's truthful, but yet lets me evolve out of the story I've been telling myself? And sometimes it's stories other people have told you. Right? And then we take it on. Have you ever been told, you need to discipline yourself. You need to show up. You need to work hard. You're going to get opportunities, but you're in your own way. Have you been told that?
I mean, I have told myself that.
I know.
Not about other people, but I told
Her face. This is what she looked like. I've told myself that. Which also means, this is a really dumb question. Okay. I mean, me. My question was dumb. Okay, so let me say it this way. When did you realize that you were, a lot better, oftentimes, doing things for other people than yourself, working on their businesses or their nonprofits or what projects or whatever it is? When did you first notice that you do that you support other people? Because that's what you said. You said, man, I can show up for other people, but I can't. You actually used the word can't. I can't show up for myself. So when did you start to think about that or notice that you were thinking that? Do you remember?
Yeah, last month.
Last month? I know, isn't she so cute? You're going to be doing comedy with us next year. I'm telling you right now, you're funny. You're funny. So you noticed it last month. Here's the challenge I'm going to give you. You guys want a quick little easy pro tip? Easy. Easy. You still got to do the work. But here's what I do when I start telling myself that. Because if you also listen to the internal dialogue, thanks for being brave enough to say it out loud, but we do it internally all the time. Man, I just can't get this right. Man, I'll tell myself, I'm like, I'm 53 years old. Why am I still learning this lesson? What's wrong with me? And sometimes it's in here, but that's just as destructive, if not more, because it's still the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. So I will tend to reframe it, and literally when you notice that negative thought come in, and it happens to all of us, it's pretty common.